I can answer that question.
Hold on.
I don't know.
Okay, do you know Nelson? What is
All
it?
right, so let's. All right, so
Well, hold on, what's the percent drop, Nelson?
I'm gonna
No,
give.
give me the number first, then talk.
Time out, Mayor. Time
Give
out.
me the number first, then
I'm
talk.
gonna answer the question.
Well, the
Respect
question was,
fact
what's the percent?
We're over 10% because.
30%,
Oh,
okay? It's
okay.
almost, wait, it's almost
Yeah,
All right,
30%.
well, we are over the minimum, which is 10%, because
We're-
back in the day, 80s and 90s, we advertised out of town for people to come to our public housing. Okay?
That's so cool.
No. Chip Camara
Oh, yeah, that's good, he told me.
knows it all.
Yeah, he knows.
Can I say
That-
something? We
hold on,
wanted
hold
to
on.
balance
Hold
all
on.
our life in this community.
I'm just gonna say, I apologize. We gotta take control of the situation.
I wasn't done.
No, I understand.
Yeah, but we-
I understand where this conversation's going, but let's talk about something positive where we can fix something. But all of that is gonna drag us into a ton of negativity. So what we gotta figure out, what we gotta figure out, there's a lot of people that own property in this city, okay? I'm gonna explain something to you, and I've been through this before. Do you want a piece of property in Florida?
No,
Do you want
no,
to-
he doesn't.
I pay rent.
Okay. How old are you?
Subsidized.
Okay, listen.
No.
Can I
How
answer
old
this?
is this? But check
Can I
this
answer
out.
this?
There's nothing
Subsidized
stopping you right now. She has a program,
Right.
and this is my question that I'm leading to, okay? If you wanna help people, there is nothing stopping you today to go purchase a building and make affordable rent. And
That's
that's
good.
my argument constantly.
That'd be good.
Now, can I
There is nothing stopping you, but you wanna battle it out. No. The solution is figure out, okay, if I buy a house and I have to charge $1,200 to survive, is there a program where I can keep that 84-year-old woman in that apartment? If there is, we need to start passing the word out how we can keep them there. Being negative doesn't fix any problem. I fix problems all day long.
That's what he
And when
does.
somebody comes in with a negative attitude, I never have a positive
Right,
problem.
I could say this,
All right,
I
hold
came
on.
to the Flint, Nelson, one thing I want to say.
That's not negative in what he's, can I, hold on. I didn't answer this question because I wasn't done talking. What he brought up was not being negative, okay? I'm gonna give you the facts. He went on camera and said, he attended the United Interfaith Action meeting. People were telling him, listen, what are you gonna do? You got ARPA money. You know what he said? When he did that interview with Mark Young, he said, what do you want me to do? New Bedford is spending ARPA money to keep people in apartments, okay? You see, there you go, and that's right. But
I don't understand, but I
that's
don't
not,
understand, I just don't understand.
Yeah.
You can go on and on. I'd rather have a
I'm
discussion.
bringing facts.
I know, but let's have a discussion, how we can help that 84-year-old woman
Okay.
out
I
tomorrow
came
morning.
tonight to the Flint meeting
Listen,
because I
no,
thought we were gonna
listen,
talk about
listen.
Flint
I really
issues.
don't understand.
No,
that.
I will tell you.
It's a Flint issue, Representative.
We want to work in the Flint to identify properties that we can match with your landlords in the property. Let's work in the Flint.
I will put this offer on the table. If I can work with someone, and somebody will finance me, right? I will buy every piece of shit building up and down Pleasant Street, and you're gonna be my personal assistant, and we're gonna get everybody affordable
And I
housing.
want you to answer me this question, since you
I
have
will.
ideas.
I will.
Now that he's here,
Okay,
okay, so, do you know what the average household income is in Florida?
I do, because I looked it up.
What's the number?
It's about 40-some thousand.
Okay.
I'm way
Okay.
more involved with business than what you would think.
Alright, so since you know numbers, I'm gonna give you numbers, okay?
Okay.
One of the rents hit $2,000. No, you want split numbers? I'm gonna split numbers back to you. $2,000. 3 times the rent, that's $6,000. Times that by 12,
Okay.
that's
What you're saying, you're not
$72,000.
fixing anything.
No,
You're just
I'm
talking.
framing the problem.
You're talking. That's all you're doing.
I'm framing the problem.
That's all you ever
I'm
do.
framing the
That's all you ever
problem
do.
that he's refusing to answer.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you something right now. That's
The fact is that
What's
you're
happening in the
Okay,
Flint?
okay, you know what? Let's do something, hold it, Brian.
Yep.
So, just, let's have one person speaking at a time, please.
What are you gonna do?
So, whoever gets recognized by the chair,
Well, don't worry.
right
I'll get
here,
my time.
wait a minute, Nelson. Whoever gets recognized by the chair has the floor until such time as the floor recognizes someone else.
Representative Fiola,
Market rate.
I understand that, people are very passionate about stuff and can get out of hand too fast. And I hate just to cut people when they are so passionate. But here's the thing. The Flint has a huge problem. And this is a Flint problem, a huge Flint problem. I have a lady that I posted on Facebook She lived on this apartment for 34 years. Okay? She cannot afford more than $750 per apartment.
Please,
This
say
is a
that
single,
loud, please.
this is a mother,
you
this
can-
is a mother with a sick son.
You can
okay?
listen to this
She
guy.
could not afford more than $750 a month. If she don't find a place, okay, what I told her, you cannot live there. She can go to one of those groups that you just mentioned. But they cannot help her until she gets evicted. When she gets evicted, then she has a bigger problem in her hand, because now she's going to be with no place with her son, and the company that she got recommended to cannot help her. So that's why I'm saying it's nice that it's all these organizations that we can call the mayor's office, but the mayor's office, I know he works, a mayor, doesn't matter who the mayor is. The office closes at 5, but 11 o'clock he's still working at some issue. You don't have to tell me that, I know that. But the end of the day is, the next day is gonna come up, the sun's gonna shine again. He'd have another day of work in the office, but this lady has one last day that leave on to survive on that house. Okay, so we have a problem that we have to resolve, and I don't think those organizations that you just mentioned, they really can help when you already have a problem. You know what I'm saying?
So I would just say this, I know it's a very complicated situation. Is she being evicted? Has she received her notice? She'll have at least 6 months after she receives her notice to have to leave. That's her right. That's her right. It's not good for the landlord, but it's her right. She can go to housing court as soon as she gets. I've had the housing court magistrate and the director Mark Jeffries and Steve Kirkland. The issue is, in my opinion, as bad as it is with rents rising, which is reality and we know it, is communication and information. And I see a group like you, instead of fighting here amongst 4 people, and amongst yourselves, is to figure out how can you, and I don't say you because I'm part of that, I'm part of my district, I'm here all the time to my constituents, how can you as the Flint group help facilitate that communication and do that along with the mayor's office, because you have to work together, along with your representatives, and we work together. Not sit here every month and argue. Let's find the solutions. We're not going to fix it,
Well,
but we're going to
I
work
want to
it.
give some time to the mayor too.
Okay, I'm gonna say.
Just fair.
Right now, we're renovating a 3-family on Murray Street. So it's gonna be subsidized housing. One of them's a 4-bedroom apartment with 2 baths. We're gonna have that open shortly. We're doing a 4-unit on June Street. We're renovating to offer people a break in rent. We're going to go above, I believe, Gilbert's Jewelers on Pleasant Street, renovate those apartments, have people get a subsidy to go in there. We're working on subsidies right now across the city, but that is not meaning that you say, well, we don't want market rate housing. We want market rate housing so people bring money into this city. I want those military guys going to Market Basket, eating at the 110 Grill, stopping at Marshall's and buying a shirt. We want that here. It can't be to the exclusion of just let's subsidize as much as we can. We need a balance and a mix. And I know full well that the state minimum is 30%, is 10%, we're up around 30. And those units, we have a meeting scheduled next week. This is why I come to these meetings. We have a meeting scheduled next week with housing. She and I were talking on the way up. We want them to get into the homeless fight. I walked around the homeless camp at Taco Bell. I walked around the homeless camp at the Liberal Club. I went and talked to the people living there. I offered them services. We're trying to help them. We're looking right now to buy a congregate housing block of 16 one-room apartments for people. We're not sitting on our hands, but at the same time, what comes out of this kind of debate is that something is bad. I could care less if Joe Cavallo built a 5-story building on Duval Street right now and said, I want to charge $5,000 a month rent. I would not move there. I can't afford that. But if he tells me he has 20 people coming from Manhattan and 20 from Maine, I'm going to hug Joe. But that doesn't exclude our ability to subsidize and help people. They're not they're together. We want those $5,000 people coming into the city with money. And anybody here that doesn't is making a seriously tragic mistake. A one-bedroom apartment in Revere, because they're under the same explosion we are, one bedroom in Revere right now, $2,400 a month. And Revere is less than, as Nelson told you, 10% subsidized housing. So we're at 30, and we're at 1,800, something like that, for a one bedroom maybe. And those guys are at 24 in Revere, which at one time was considered the butt of Boston, and they're building like that, and their whole waterfront is full of market rate housing with money. You want them here, not at the exclusion of helping people. I won't do that. But if you want to build something, Joe, down there for 6 stories, I'll shake your hand. It's not that it's bad, it's good. It's good to have a bunch of military guys from Newport coming, living in Fall River, saying, hey, I'm up the street. There's nothing wrong with that. And I'm glad they're here.
Mayor, I think the impression that I get in the most people that I talk to is we're not against mark housing. We just don't see the balance. We see
We're at
a lot
30%.
more. If 100 apartments come, only 3 comes for people that still need cheap apartments. So that's what our problem is. It's the balance.
No,
It's
we're
for each 100, we got 3.
We're trying to catch up.
Nelson mentioned how 30 years ago, but Nelson brought up the fact that he talked about 30 years ago, people were recruiting very poor people to come to Fall
You
River.
let it happen.
Right, so,
Yeah, no, I agree
but
with
my
that. I
point
agree
is,
with that.
Carlos, to say to your point is, that balance was lost. We are now bringing balance. We were not balanced.
And with
we
that-
were 30% low income, not affordable. Let's make sure our definitions are correct. Affordable is not low income.
Yes.
Affordable is, we were low income at 30%. We were unbalanced.
So with the
This
people-
is bringing
with the
community
people
balance so we can
thinking-
invest in our quality of life for all residents.
So because that balance is not equal or compared, to compare one than the other, what people think is they don't want us here no more because we only can afford $500 a month. We were good for 30 years, for 50 years, and we live here for $500. Now they don't want us no more. Now they want that. Now what they want is that people from Newport that's going to come and it's going to take my apartment, my
That's
house
not
away.
what is affecting
No, it's
the
not
rents.
affecting the rent.
Those rents, those are granted, let me just say, the people that are moving into the market rate housing, whether it was Commonwealth Landing, the very first one, and people said, that'll never happen. No one will pay that. Did they not, Ryan? That'll never happen. Always a waiting list. They want our kids, your kids, they don't want the 3rd floor, what we've all grown up in and used to.
And Carole, just to give an idea, this lady lived in there for 34 years. The house got sold. Not to somebody that came from the city.
But that's-
Somebody,
she
but
lives
these
in a
people
private
are buying this house and paying greedy.
He's got it. He's got the floor.
But these people are buying these houses because if on the same street somebody's renting an apartment for $5,000, I can buy this house and rent it for $1,500, and we cannot control that. I understand we cannot control that. People have to buy it, but the problem is these people like this lady is going to have a problem, and we still have a lot of people of these situations over here, which is going to get worse. For every apartment that opens up new in Fall River, we're going to have this problem. This problem is going to grow. So, Brian,
We're off track talking about trains. We're totally off track here. As a board, we should be looking at this, right? And I love the 84-year-old woman example, right? And she said this earlier. The biggest problem is when they get to be a certain age, a lot of these people, they're totally left on their own. Because I helped an older gentleman that used to work with me. He had no family members, and I actually got him into housing. It was a long process. I pulled a lot of strings. I got him a place to live. Instead of battling like we are, what we need to do is say, what do we do? What can we do? We got to spread the word out and be able to engage these people. Once you hear about them, can we do something for them right now? Because arguing about, what's so funny is that everybody wants to say right now, oh no, this and that, we need a full. Listen, there's nothing in this room right now stopping anyone from purchasing a home and going backwards in life and losing the money and going into foreclosure, or joining up for programs which I'm not aware of that could make an affordable rent. So what I say is, if we're gonna sit here as a board, let's work with them and figure out, what do we do when we hear a story like that? What can we do right now? And if you're saying that there's programs like that, what can we do right now to assist these people to keep them from being
Yeah,
displaced?
then I will have to.
So.